Hey guys, what's up? How are you doing? Welcome back. This video will be a part of the 50 Rust project playlist series. Now, in this small project, we'll be using all the things that we've learned till now, like using request, using SERDI, using structs, and all of that, and we'll be building up on our knowledge. We'll be calling the Spotify API, and we'll be running a search query in Spotify. So if you can see, I'm running a query for this song called for this keyword called Yo Mama. So it's just for fun. I mean, you could be running an actual query on Spotify, and it's going to query the Spotify's database and get us all the list of all the songs that exist with this kind of a keyword. Now, apart from writing Yo Mama, the thing that I've pasted here is my key. It's my API key that I'll create. So you'll have to create an API key and you'll have to pass that. And then once you run this command, it'll compile and it'll get, so I have to grab a new token. All right. So I'll also show you how to grab a new token now. Now, one thing to remember is this project is already there on my GitHub. So in case things don't work out when you're coding and things start to break and all of that, the code is already there and you can compare your code with this code. Now, obviously, this takes more time. I mean, my process is now it takes more time to get through this process, because then I have to build beforehand and put this on GitHub, and then I show you guys the video. But earlier I used to just come online and start building. Now, this process takes longer, but it's also a lot more stable for you guys, and I think it enhances the viewing experience. But then this takes time, and that's why I'm not able to put enough videos. All right, anyhow, so this is the project, and you can also get your API token here. So here I will get my token, agree. I've already logged in using Facebook, so it's created a new token for me. And I will copy this and I will paste it in my, so I'll say cargo. First, let me clear everything out so that you can see it more clearly. So I'll say cargo run, and whatever I want to say, like Yo Mama, for example, and then the token ID. Let's run it now. So it should get the response back for me. Looking at it again. Yeah. So the Spotify API, as you know, is very loaded, in the sense like a lot of people are making requests to it. So sometimes you'll find some delays. Just press Control-C, stop the process, and just call the API again. No need to worry. It's not like we're paying for the APIs, right? It's a free API. Spotify has been kind enough to give us their free API, and we can get the list of all of their songs, right? So even if it doesn't work, not a problem. Now, the thing is, you get the data that you get from the Spotify API is not very structured, right? So the thing you want to do is you want to get the artist name, and you want to get the album name, the track name, and the URL for the track. Okay, so it will be our job to create a struct and then to get the data from the API to use with the search query, and then to structurize that data using SERDI, and then also to print it. So that's our job. So it'll require a lot of skills, and we'll basically be building up on our already existing knowledge. So having said that, now let's get started. Let's build this project together. So now that you have the demo and you have a clear idea of what you're about to do, I'm going to create a new project, cargo new, and I'm going to call it Spotify search YT for YouTube, and I'll seed into it. So I'll see Spotify search and YT, and just to ensure, I have the cargo.toml file and I have the src folder. This is awesome. Open this up in your code editor. So you have your main.rs file, and you can get rid of everything here. You want request, right? Because we're making the API request, API call. There are a couple of things in the dependencies that I want you guys to know about, and what you'll do is you'll go to my GitHub and you will copy and paste these dependencies. In case you're not going to my GitHub, you want to write everything on your own, you can do that. I'll just keep the screen open for a while. So we need request, as you know. We need Tokyo, as we've already used before. Cert and JSON also we've already used before. Okay. So just the standard stuff, nothing, nothing revolutionary, but it's just how we'll use all these things, and how everything comes together. That's what you'll enjoy a lot in today's session. So for request, now this is something we have not done before. For request, I want to set my header, so I'll say accept authorization and content type, right? So when we make the request to the Spotify API, we'll need these things, right? Authorization and content type, all of that stuff. So I'll get that. Then from Serde, I will get deserialize and serialize. All right. And standard environment. Now it all comes down, like the main thing here, basically, right? The main thing here is the arrangement of data in those structs and calling the APIs with all of these different things, right? So those are the two things that you'll take away from here. Now, organizing data in structs. So firstly, because like I said, Spotify will return a lot of data to you. You want to take specific data from it to structurize it. You want the data that we want is the artist, as in the name of the artist. We want the album. We want the track. All right. So these three things are really important, and the external URL, the URL that I showed you for the Spotify, track. So we need these four things, right? These are the most important things. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll talk about the struct artist, name, string, and we'll have external URLs, which will be of type external URLs. Now this is external URLs is a struct that we have not defined yet, so we'll define it here. So struct external URLs, and here you'll say Spotify string. Okay. Here we'll say serialize, comma deserialize, comma debug, and you want the exact same thing here as well. Okay. Sounds good. So external URL is basically the Spotify URL, as you know. Now we need this for our album and also our track, right? So we'll have two structs here. One will be, like I mentioned, album, and another struct for track. Now if you're very new to Rust and you've not seen any of my projects before, any of my Rust videos before, and you're just in this video certainly, which is not recommended, by the way, just do like all the other videos before this, all the projects before this, and you'll have a very clear idea of what you're doing. Here structs basically are your own custom data types that you can create, which the user can create, but it is usually a combination of the data types that the that Rust already understands. Now vector, in case, again, if you're new to Rust, vector is basically a collection. It's almost like a slice in Golang, right? Collection of structs. So artist is a struct, multiple, and if you want like multiple structs together, it will be a vector. So multiple artists in that album. External URLs will be external URLs. Sorry. There was an alarm to eat lunch because I forget to eat lunch sometimes. I mean, usually I used to record in the evenings, like late at night, or I used to record like very early morning. But now I record these videos somewhere around lunch break, because I have like less and less time available these days because of all the other stuff that I'm doing. So this is a reminder to eat lunch. I'll go in a while. I'll just try to complete as much as possible before that. Okay, so this is struct track, and here you have name, string. By the way, if you're just into Rust and if you just like Rust, it's totally okay to not learn Golang, but I would really recommend that you learn both of these languages because they're very similar, right? So why miss out on the fun that Golang gives you? And because I keep posting a lot of content on Golang as well, a lot of projects, right? So don't miss out on the fun. Watch Golang stuff also. It's very similar to Rust, by the way, right? So they also have structs. There also we have structs. So here, by the way, track will have a name, href, the link for that, popularity, album, and external URLs. Then I'll need one more here for the API response. So what I'll say is struct and I'll get an API response after calling the API. So I'll say list of tracks, items, and track. I need one more, and this one we'll understand what this does. So just for now, just create this items t, which is going to be items vector t. Okay, so this one, just write this like this for now, and we'll get into it. Now I'll have a function for printing the tracks, okay, because as you saw in the demo that I showed you, just calling the API and getting the data is not enough. You have to structurize it and then you have to print it. So for printing it, we have this function. It's going to take a vector of the tracks, collection. So we'll get that. So in the API response, we'll get the tracks, and we want to pass those tracks to the print tracks, which is very straightforward, right? Obviously, that's what you want to do. You want to send it here, and we'll write some logic here to print out the tracks. But most importantly, our most important function here is actually the main function. And you'll say Tokyo main. That's where we're using Tokyo for our async stuff. We've already done this before, right? No need to explain that to you. So here we can get started. We'll say let arguments vector string environment arguments. So we're doing all of this because if you remember, we're passing the keyword that we want to search and along with our API key. So this is why we're using the environment here. Like I thought, like I was assuming that you would already know this, but I'm again explaining everything in case you're new to this channel, in case you've not seen the earlier videos before. So I'm just explaining to you that we are going to be passing a list of arguments that you saw in the demo, the keyword and the API key, and we want to collect those in this variable called arguments, which is going to be a vector of strings, right? So the search query, as we know, is the first one, right? So the first thing we're passing that yo mama, which is the search query, right? So that was the first argument. Then the auth token was the second argument. Right, so many videos you will see on YouTube, they'll start from here. They'll start writing the code here, and then they'll keep creating the structs as they require it in func main, right? And many times when I'm creating these videos, I create these structs before, and then I write the function main. So many people get confused. They think, what are we writing? Why are we creating these structs? And we have not started using them. Where do we use them? So what I request from my viewers is a little bit of patience, and the approach that I take you through is the actual approach that you will follow when you will build like world-class software, right? And I take you through that approach because when you start, you think firstly you do all those diagrams. Maybe you've seen my Golang bigger projects where I do those diagrams, and then I think about how those requests will be structured and the structs. But even if you don't do the diagrams, first you think about how you're going to work with the data, right? So like building world-class software is all about structurizing data, thinking about what's coming from where, how is it flowing through the system, and what are you going to do with that data, right? And how is it going to look? So first you think about the structs, okay, how it's going to look, what all will you need, what are the relationship between that data, because we're not using databases here, but still you need to know how those data are related, all of that stuff, and then you start writing those functions. That's how I like to do it, and that's what I recommend. Obviously, here you'll put in the Spotify search link. So you can head over to my GitHub and pick this up from there. In the GitHub, I also have the link that I showed you in my GitHub. This one out here, right here. This is the one that takes you to this place, right, where you get the link, the endpoint. So that's the one we're talking to. Here you want to replace this search query with and pass your actual search query. First you close this off, and here you pass your search query. Okay, so that's your URL, your formatted URL for making the request to. You'll make the request to this, but to make the request you need more things, right? You need a client to make the request, so that's where we will be using our request library, and you'll get some response back. So let's say response, let's go to client, and then there'll be multiple things, right? With the client you'll say stuff like .get, client.get URL, right? Because we're making a GET request, so GET and the URL that you created, the format URL you created with the search query. Apart from that, you need a header with authorizations. So we got, if you remember here, maybe you were thinking at that time, why do we need this? What is this there for? So if you've been patient till now, you'll get the reward that this is going to be used here to make our API request. So we'll say format, and then bearer and your auth token. The auth token being the token that you passed, right? So this query and this auth token are right here. I mean, these are the arguments that we just accepted from the command line into these two variables. That's what we've passed here, right, for authorization. The other thing that you need is content type, comma, application slash JSON dot header except, comma, application slash JSON dot send dot await, because it's a async function, so we can use await dot unwrap also. So we will be successful in calling the API with this. Now we'll use response to status, and we'll check. So we'll say request status code is okay. Okay, so we can have now there's like unlimited that you can handle this for, like unlimited conditions, but I am just handling two statuses. One is going to be okay, and the other is going to be unauthorized. So those are the two that will handle for. So this bracket closes here. Here I'll have one more request status code unauthorized. Okay, here you can say print ln. Need to grab a new token. This was easy to fix. If everything is okay, then you'll say match response .json with the API response struct that we had created, right? .await. Just as a quick reminder, guys, API response is the struct we had created somewhere here, this one, which will have the list of tracks. Okay, so this is the one, and we'll say okay, parsed print tracks. So you remember what happens at print tracks, the function that we are yet to create. Print tracks takes a lot of tracks, and our API response is all about tracks, right? So we'll parse that, and then we'll get it here, and here we'll send the parsed tracks dot items dot iteratively dot collect. Right, really straightforward code. Nothing fancy happening here. For error, let's say print ln. The response didn't match the shape, so you'll say something like the response didn't match the struct or the shape, whatever you want to print to the user. The response you're getting from the API is not matching basically your API response structure you've created, and you weren't able to parse it, and you weren't able to send that to the print tracks function. Now that everything is fine and everything goes to the print tracks function. By the way, we have also handled for unauthorized, and okay, so both of these conditions have been handled. Okay, now you don't need to do anything here apart from maybe adding a semicolon here just to be safe. Okay, and adding a semicolon here again just to be safe. Yeah, everything else looks okay to me. But yeah, as you know, I'm completely okay with getting a lot of errors in my code and fixing them later on. So, so almost like how you paint, right? You paint in broad brush strokes, and at the end you add those. So first you have like a structure, right? You create those outlines. That's what we did with the structs. Then we wrote some code, it's like broad strokes, and then we'll make those fine tunings after we get those errors. We'll make those small fine tunings like fixing typos, fixing semicolons, and all of that stuff. Okay. So remember, like writing code for a project is like a lot like a painting. So you know, it's great to know how to paint. You'll get better at coding as well, because it's a lot of parallels here. Okay. So here you'll say for track and tracks, print ln track name. Right, so I want to print out the track name. I want to print out the track album name. So here I'll say print ln track dot album dot name, and then print ln track dot album dot artists dot rated, and we'll map them. So we'll say dot map artist dot name dot to underscore string dot collect string. And then finally print ln track dot external URLs dot Spotify, and for after each if you remember from the demo, after each, after each data, for example, the name of the track, album name, and the artist's name, all of that stuff, and the Spotify URL link. After all of that, you got a line, like a dotted line, and then you got the next data, right? So we're iterating through it, as you can see, for track and tracks, and for each track we're printing out the data in a nice format, like a structure format, and we'll put a line after every single data so that you get, you can print the next object there. So it's like printing object after object after object, track object in the tracks collection, which is a vector or collection of tracks. Track being your struct. Okay. So everything is connected here. Very simple, straightforward code, just 9 lines. Nothing really fancy happening here. We can try and run this and see the errors and look at the errors, all that stuff. So here I'll say cargo run. Again, I'll say Yoma, and I will. I think I'll get a new token. So I'll say get token, request token, agree, blah 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 blah. Get the token, and print this here. Now, since this is building from scratch, a new project, so it takes some time. I'm expecting errors as well. Hopefully we'll get some errors, so we'll get to fix them also. Yes, we have some errors. So now let's fix these issues. So let's first go through the errors together. Okay. You see here, line 43, vector. So I know the issue is that V should be capital because Rust is telling me that V should be capital, right? The next is line 56, and I know that println should have an exclamation mark because Rust is telling me to add an exclamation mark there. So in case you haven't figured it out, you really can't mess up Rust code a lot, right? Even if you're like very stupid, you can't mess up Rust code a lot because it tells you exactly where you need to make those changes. So firstly, we'll find that vector thing where V should be capital. Here, it's here. So V needs to be capital. And then it was saying that we need to have, what line was it on? I'm not sure. Let me check. Okay, and println on line 56. Yeah. Okay. So let me try running it now. And these are not all the issues. I've not solved all the issues, but usually what happens is that because of this one issue, that leads to multiple different issues. Okay. So here I ran it, as you can, maybe you can see it now better. I ran it again, so I didn't get those earlier issues, but I got something different. So I'm getting this, that there's something, there's an issue on line 79 with response.status, blah 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 blah. So let's take a look at that. So something to do with response.status, blah 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 blah. So if I go back to my code now, I notice that I'm handling unauthorized and I'm handling OK. But what if it's something else? So I'm not handling that. So I'll say other and panic, something unexpected happened, right? So this is one thing that I didn't cover. Okay. So that's that. Now let's try running it again. Obviously we'll get some errors, but we'll be much better prepared to handle those errors now. Oh no, so all the errors have gone away. Okay, so that was the issue. You wanted to handle the last situation as well, the last condition as well. and then everything works perfectly fine now in the code. All right, so we're getting all the response from Spotify and in a perfect format, right? So this is the line that I told you about, that we get the dotted line. This is the link, the URL from Spotify, track name, album name, and name of the artist. Here, right, like that. So everything works perfectly fine. It's already there on GitHub, like I said. I hope you enjoyed building with me. This was a great project. We brought everything together. In this, you learned how to call an official API, right? So that's a big step that you've taken, and give yourself a pat on the back. And you're learning a lot of Rust, and we're heading towards building production level applications really fast, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on here, and if you've understood till here, you've been able to build this. It's amazing. And in case you're having some issues, the code is always there for you to compare. And again, if you're not understanding some things, just build it like multiple times. You have these projects, everything, the videos are there. You can watch them multiple times. You can go through the code multiple times, build it on your own, and then you'll be very comfortable with whatever's happening. Okay, do subscribe in case you haven't, and share this with your friends. I mean, this is free education, and my main agenda of this channel is to really give out free education. I really believe in that, because for money I do something else. As you know, I run my own companies, and this is just purely helping out the community. That is it. There is no other agenda for this. And you should definitely share it with their friends. Help them get a job, right? They can watch Rust and Golang. There's a lot of jobs in Rust and Golang, and companies are really facing shortages, and they're ready to pay just about any amount of money. So help them get a job, and tag me if you get a job. Tag me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. That'll make my day. Basically, I'll be very happy. Or if you start your own company and build using any of this code, that'll also make me very happy. So everything that I have put on GitHub, feel free to do anything you want with it. It's all open source. It's all MIT licensed. Don't even think twice. Just pick up stuff, put it on your resume, put it on your portfolio, build whatever you want with it. It'll just make me really happy if you do that. All right, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.